Are you ready for another edition of the Rob Dibble Show?
2-1. High drive, center field, straight away. Lawler back. He's turning around. Got out of here. Home run. Mickey Gasper. And a bomb to center field.
2-2, 2 out, bases loaded, 1-1 game, top 7. The pitch, swing on, line drive into center field. Here comes Jones. Lombard coming around. He scores. Over to third, Caballero. What a night for Trent Grisham. A 2-run single. And the Yankees have a 3-1 lead.
Got that feeling. And now, here's Rob Dibble.
Thank you to the Red Sox and the Yankees for the audio. Dave O'Brien and Dave Sims on the calls there. Yeah, that's the way it would stay. Yankees would beat the Orioles 3-1. Rodon in a successful off the IL stint yesterday. Red Sox, very nice 9-4 win. And as we said yesterday, the most important part of the last couple of days, the Jimmy Fund and Dana-Farber Institute. Dana-Farber, one of the best cancer research institutes out there, and helping people, beat cancer and survive cancer, and it's not easy. It takes millions and millions of dollars, and they broke their old record of 5.7 million and well over 6 million. I think it's into the 7 millions. So congratulations to everybody involved there. But Red Sox and Yankees, they pick up some ground on Tampa Bay, as Tampa Bay dropped a game last night to Toronto, and that was a big blowout, 10-5 in that one, as Nick Martinez, all-star Nick Martinez, got beat by Soriano, who's a guy that was traded for from the Angels. So it's crazy as Toronto trades some pitchers, brings in some pitchers, and they're not out of the wild card. Let's give a little wild card update, if we shall, Nick, as the Yankees are the number 1 team in the American League wild card. They are safely there by 8.5 games over the third place team. And the Red Sox are 6 games over the Texas Rangers as far as the wild card goes. Rangers in the 3rd spot. They're a half game above the Twins, a half game above the Jays, a game above the Guardians, a game above the Orioles, a game above the Tigers, who are playing right now. Now, the Tigers are beating the Pirates, correct?
Yes, it is bottom 8, 2 outs, men on first and second. Detroit is away, but they are up 3-2 in the bottom of the 8th inning.
So every game is critical right now, and whether you're in the wild card by 8.5 games or 6 games, it's huge. Same division as Tampa Bay, and it just shows you how difficult the American League East is. Tampa Bay leads the East 75-50. Yankees are 70-55. Red Sox got back to 10 games over 500 and 500 at home, which is huge because they were like 15 or 18 games below 500 just about 6 weeks ago.
They were double negative, yep.
Yep, and so now they're 31-31. They're 37-27 on the road. They're playing great baseball. Adley Rutschman, I think it's more important the games he calls as opposed to hitting, but he has started to hit and hit his first home run with the Red Sox last night. What did you see from the Yankees last night? It was a well-defensive played game. George Lombard Jr. continues to play great shortstop, but the Yankees playing a more inspired game of defense right now behind Rodon and the other pitchers, which is needed because not everybody is as sharp as they hopefully will be in the playoffs.
Yeah, so I think the first premier talking point is Carlos Rodon coming back from his rehab stint. I think he looked really good. He only went, I believe it was 4 2/3, somewhere in that ballpark. He was obviously on a pitch limit. They weren't going to let him go deep into this game. I think they bring him out and bring in Yerry De Los Santos out of the bullpen to chew up a few innings in the middle of the game. But in terms of Rodon, he looked good. The velocity was there, which was a real big, an eye catcher for me. That was something I was looking out for to see if the velocity was there coming off his rehab stint. He had good command. He got into a couple jams, but was able to, power through them, get himself out of them, limit the damage. Only gives up a singular run on that solo shot to Kobe Mayo, who's absolutely. Let me shout out him real quick. I saw the Orioles broadcast was saying he is absolutely pounding left-handed pitching this year. He's been like their best right-handed bat against left-handed pitching, maybe barring Pete Alonso. So he gets one on the board for Baltimore last night. But again, Trent Grisham, I was reaming when you were on vacation a week or two ago. Michael and I were reaming on Trent Grisham in terms of just his offensive production at the leadoff spot. All of his statistics from his career year that he had last year were down in terms of slugging percentage, homers, RBIs, pretty much everything was down. But in the past week or so, he's really turned it on. He has another couple hits last night. He has the solo home run to get out to the 1-0 lead. He has the 2 RBI base hit late in the game, I believe, in the top of the 7th inning. So he's really doing his part to up the production value in terms of offense, at least on his end. Defensively, there's still some, maybe some lapses in judgment, raising a few eyebrows in terms of his effort out there in center field. That could be attributed to the hamstring pull he had, not too long ago. But George Lombard Jr., another couple hits, fantastic. He's off to a hot start to his MLB career. Rodon looks good. Grisham's going. A little bit of chasing pitches out of the Yankees bats last night, which I wasn't a fan of. There was a lot of swing and miss, but they get the job done, win game 1. Now they hand the ball to Will Warren in game 2 tonight.
Well, I think your Yankees well enough to know that's how they play. They love to chase. They strike out on average about 10 times a game out of 27 outs. That's part of their game. And so last night they had 14 strikeouts. Boz is not the greatest pitcher in the world, but he's not the worst pitcher in the world for the Baltimore Orioles. He was effective, but he still gave up 3 runs, and that's your ball game. Really, the bullpens, they shut it down when they got in there. The Orioles bullpen, they finished off the game the last couple of innings. Bednar comes in, gets saved number 28, has been fantastic. He was 8 for 8 in strikeouts. In strikes and pitches, so that's always good. The one thing I saw about Rodon, getting behind in the counts, not good. He didn't do that on his last rehab start. He was mowing people down, but obviously he should have more confidence down in the minor leagues.
Yep.
9 for 17 in first pitch strikes. You want to be about 60-70% with your first pitch strikes, and he's always struggled with that. And I think a lot of it is he pulls to the right side. He pulls towards the third base side with his shoulder, flies open, leaves his arm, exposed and lagging behind. If that's something he can tighten up a little bit, that's always going to help. But listen, he's a power pitcher. He's a big, strong guy. Get 18 outs out of him. Get 21 outs out of him in the playoffs if you can. If you can't, you get to 18. I think he'll be fine. You just got to keep him healthy. I mean, I could see the paranoia because of Fried going back on the IL. If Fried is really hurt with a bone bruise, that's basically your elbow smacking against itself. And that's scary stuff. It's like a knee. When they say a knee bruise, it's basically – It's a contusion inside the elbow, inside the knee. Those are things that, listen, obviously mechanically, these guys are max effort guys, Fried, Rodon, Cole, Weathers, all of these guys, all of the guys in the bullpen. So you certainly don't want that flaring up and rearing its ugly head in the postseason. So you got to get Fried healthy. You got to get Rodon as healthy as possible. Cole has to stay healthy. So those are all things that Matt Blake, the pitching coach, and Aaron Boone, I'm sure, discuss on the daily.
Well, not to be too doom and gloom as the resident Yankees fan, Rob, but I think you'd also agree the cause for concern, even more so just the fact that he's going down with an injury again, is the fact that it's a repeat injury, right? This is a recurring problem with the left elbow bone bruise for Max Fried. This is what sidelined him, what was it, a month and a half, 2 months, not too long ago. We just seemingly got him back, and he's looked fantastic since returning. However, he drops back down to the IL on the injured list with the same left elbow issue. So we don't exactly have a timetable yet from what I've seen. And now, your thoughts start to go. You start to worry. You're wondering when exactly are we going to get this guy back? Because there's arguably a few aces in this rotation now, obviously. You have Garrett Cole, who's a veteran. Max Fried's been doing his thing for many years now. The resurgence of Cam Schlittler as a frontrunner in the American League Cy Young candidacy. So to lose one of your three aces is a tough hit, especially when that fifth starter in the rotation, whether it's Will Warren, specifically Will Warren, has been a cause for concern. There's been a big question mark around him. So to lose a guy like Fried is definitely going to hurt the rotation.
Yeah, and listen, he's got less than 100 innings pitched this year, Fried. And although he's looked good in some of his outings, since he came back off the IL and now he's on the IL again, also had the one stinker against the White Sox. And these are some teams that you might have to face in the postseason. We talk about that a lot, facing teams in the postseason, facing teams on the road. Your best pitcher is Cam Schlittler. He's fantastic on the road.
Yep. So,
I don't want to put all this pressure on this young kid, but these older veteran guys are putting the pressure on him. That's why I said the paranoia yesterday of, 66 pitches for Rodon? Let's get him out of the game. Seriously? You've got basically 5 weeks left of the season, so I'll say 6-7 starts. When are you going to build him to 6 or 7 innings? If you're going to, then you're depending on your bullpen.
And it didn't exactly look like Rodon was laboring either.
No, that was a mark. They said 70 pitches in their brains, and they were like, we're gonna pull him out of the game at 70 pitches no matter what. And it's unfortunate for Rodon because, like I call him, the sweaty rhino. I'm sure that guy, he doesn't want to come out of the game.
No,
he wants
of course
to pitch
not.
as long as he possibly can. Because we're creatures of habit. Pitchers are like, they only see the game in front of them. They're not thinking 6 weeks ahead. That's the job of your pitching coach, your manager, and your nerds upstairs. So this is where Aaron Boone, I don't think, has any control at all. I think he was told exactly what to do. He did exactly what was told of him, and he pulls the guy out. I can honestly tell you from all my experience, anytime you walk out to pull the ball out of a pitcher's hand, especially a starter, that's not a good thing. It's almost like an insult. And so then you have to bring in a guy out of the bullpen, and he's looking down there going, so I'm making $30 million annually, and you're bringing in that guy for me? I mean, it's that simple. It's not just about you're taking me out of this interdivision game. You're taking me out of this game, before the fifth inning. Those are all benchmarks for pitchers' brains. So now Rodon goes into the dugout. He goes into the locker room, and he's like, screw this. I'm healthy. I feel great, and they're babying me. He doesn't want to be babied. I'm sure Cole is the same way. Cole's the same guy that'll tell you, F you, go back in the dugout like Mike Mussina.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what makes them them. That's their mental makeup. You're taking that away from them by babying them. So, yeah, when are you going to get to that? You're going to get to that in the second week of September? You're going to get to that in his last couple of starts? So you want Rendon, you want Fried, you want Cole, Schlittler, you want these guys ready mentally for the postseason. You can't embarrass them like that, pulling the ball out of their hands early.
Let me get another question off for you about the Yankees, my Yankees. A big cause for concern, Jazz Chisholm. Like, what exactly is the outlook here for the second base position for the New York Yankees long term, right? Because I'm hearing rumors that they're not going to offer him an extension, that's already circulating, that he will not be brought back beyond this year. But in the interim, what are we going to do about this situation? Jazz, when he's on, he's an offensive threat. He can steal bags. We've seen it before. He's got some pop in his bat for not such a large guy. But as of right now, he looks completely lost at the plate. He goes 0 for 4 again last night. All of his offensive statistics are down from last year. His slugging's down. His batting average is down, which is obviously even hard to believe because he's never really been that high of a career batting average guy. He's batting .214 on the year, picks up another few strikeouts last night against the Orioles and Shane Baz. Is there an option? Can we rotate someone in? Obviously, I'm not rooting for Anthony Volpe to start getting reps at second base. I know that idea has been thrown out there. I'm not saying that. but Luis Garcia in the past has gotten reps at second. Could that even be a potential solution in the interim? Shift him over to second, get Ben Rice at first. I just don't know how much longer you could have a total zero at the plate, at least in terms of offense, in the Yankees lineup, batting in the 5 or 6 hole night in and night out.
Here's the problem. If he is your future, you're trying to build a bond between him and Lombard. So you don't want to start throwing out Caballero and other shortstops to try to play second base, Rosario, and so like you said, Garcia, what are we going to do? Have a rotating second baseman with a rookie?
But it sets a sort of bad precedent, right? If you continue to roll him out there and he's not doing anything.
I understand that, but like I said, defense and pitching wins you championships. And you start messing with the defense, and you have trouble turning double plays. Jazz already slow at second base turning a double play. That guy sometimes the guy is 1 or 2 steps from first base, and he's still holding the ball, and I'm like, he ain't gonna throw him out. He's only gonna get the first end of that double play. So, that being said, I've talked about his offense all the time. This is a guy that selfishly thinks he's the best guy on the Yankees. And listen, I understand that. Everybody should think they're the best.
He swings like he's Barry Bonds.
And he's got a one-handed finish sometimes. And I was just telling you the other day about Curtis Granderson.
Yep.
And Granderson and his 40 home run seasons. And that was the worst thing, I think, to happen to Jazz last year, was to hit all those home runs. Now he thinks he's a home run hitter.
Yeah, had about 32 last year.
31 last year, 24 the year before. So now he's thinking 30-30. He comes in the season, I'm going to go 50-50. You're not even going to go maybe 20-20. You keep up, with the strikeouts and not making contact, the way you're going in your final 150 at bats, you're going to stink up the joint. So listen, I love the kid, actually. I think he's a hell of a ball player when he's out of his own head. But when he's standing out there and he's thinking, man, I'm 0 for 2. I'm going to go up there. I'm going to probably hit 2 home runs the last 2 at-bats. And he gets in a situation where all you need is a ground ball to the right side to score a guy from third with 1 out.
But
and
instead he strikes out.
Pops up. Yep. And so, so his thought process was about himself. His thought process wasn't about helping the team. From that standpoint, in my mind, in 30 years ago world, you bench him for a couple days.
You have to.
And you tell him why. Listen, dude, you got to be a team player. You got to, when you come up and you got a guy out there with 1 out, you either got to hit a deep fly ball to get him in, or you got to hit a ground ball to the middle of the infield and get him in. But you can't strike out or pop up right there. That's the difference that the Jazz Chisholms have and the Ryan McMahons and guys like that. I need more production and more productive at-bats from you at the bottom of the order. And like you said, when he's on, couple of hits, a home run, couple of home runs, whatever. Yeah, everybody's happy with that, man. We're all happy. But when you're 2 for your last 16 and you're starting to pile on those strikeouts again, that's a lot of runners in scoring position with 2 outs, runners in scoring position like on third with 1 out and not getting them in. That's frustrating to watch.
Yeah, and it's not like he's any better against right-handed pitching. Normally, when you look at batting splits in terms of offense, the opposite side arm slot is normally, your numbers are normally improved at the plate. He's batting, I think, 214 against lefties and 210 against righties, or vice versa. So it's not, there's no real outlier on either side in terms of the splits. He's just all around having a down year. And if he's going to keep getting slotted in at the 5 or the 6 hole in between Spencer Jones and George Lombard, the Yankees need production out of that spot in the lineup. Because Lombard, Jones, these are guys who have, at least as of late, been getting on base pretty consistently, pretty regularly. So you need to be able to have someone you can rely on to do their job. The Yanks aren't asking for him to hit a 2 or 3 run home run every time he's at the plate. Put the ball in play. Good things happen. You have speed. You can move a runner over. Sometimes, a lot of the time, all you need is a base hit to get the job done. He hasn't done that lately.
You're 40 points below your on-base percentage of last year. You're 30 points below your batting average of last year. You're 14 home runs behind, last year. And listen, I understand, Bellinger's not in there. Judge isn't in there. Stanton's not in there. Some guys that were hitting around him very well last year, and he was a lot more comfortable, and he was getting different pitches. Now the guys are actually starting to pick it up a little bit in front of him and behind him, but it's still not enough. You got to get on base more. You got to have that on base percentage by the postseason at 320. You got to score some more runs. I mean, last year this guy scored 75 runs, 74 the year before. Right now he's at 56. He's on pace for that, but last year he drove in 80.
Yeah,
you need that because you don't have Judge and Bellinger. So, and plus with his speed, he's got to think more of I'm a threat, I'm a distraction for the pitcher when I get on base. That's the one thing about Jazz. If I were to hit him in the number 1 hole or the 2 hole, is listen, if your on base percentage was at least 340, and I could put you at leadoff, I could get Grisham off the leadoff spot. But when you're at 292 with your on base crap, I can't put you up in the leadoff spot with your speed. So, and Grisham, like you talked about, he's got a bad hammy. You see it in the outfield. You see it sometimes running the bases, and some people will be like, he's dogging it. No, I honestly think he's slow and he can't run because he's hurt.
Yeah, he's definitely not 100%.
I don't think Grisham's the type of guy where he would ever dog it going from first to home. I really don't.